Cowboy Nation, how are y'all doing today? How you doing today, man? How we doing? Going on this Christmas Eve, going in here to try to talk to you for a little while, man. We wanna going on YouTube this time, not on my other platform. So we're gonna see how it works because every time I go on this, oh shucks, I'm sorry, y'all can't hear. Every time I go on this platform, um, it seems like every time I go on this platform, it seems like it's always problems with me when I go on this platform. Happy holidays, man. Thank you for coming in and watching. Hope everybody can hear me real well. Last time I was on this platform, uh, things did not go well. Um, every time I go on YouTube live to try to do a show, it seems like it always has a problem of working, not working well for me. So I just want to make sure I'm checking everything off and see how is it if everything is coming in clear with everything. So
Clear with
so
every.
so it seems like everything is coming in pretty clear, and it seems like y'all can hear. Yes, man. How y'all doing, man? Loud and clear. Thank you so much for coming in, man. We're gonna talk a little bit of cowboy news today. You see, I'm got my Norfolk State. I'm still supporting my college, Norfolk State, even though we had a real tough year this year. Supporting the Norfolk State Spartans. I played for the Norfolk State Spartans back many moons ago for the great Coach Willie Bailey when Norfolk State was in Division II football at that particular time in the CIAA. So, but we're going to talk a little bit of Cowboy news, and some of the Cowboy news we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Tyler Smith thing. I know there's a lot of talk going about the Tyler Smith thing. Um, we are very at this particular point in time when it's fresh that we are not in the playoffs. You know, our fan base and our media base has a tendency to start pointing fingers and really get really storyline-ish. This is the time where you try to start storylines and get storylines out there, because there's really no real well there's no playoff news. You're not playing for to get in the playoffs. So now we start just thinking about next year, and then we start getting storyline-ish with, you know, um, trying to make stories, and trying to stay into the media to make stories. I think the Tyler Smith thing is a storyline that they're trying to make a story out of. I don't think it's a true storyline with that. Um, the Matt Eagleflus thing would never is not going to die. I think his time may be up here. There was some interesting people that brought up some interesting thing. I think Boss Cowboy did a show the other day. Was talking about how that the 49ers defensive coordinator, how Soliver had done such a great job with not having all his players and their defense being tough. And we're going to talk about that, why that's the case with Salah and his team, and how with the 49ers are why they can sustain injuries and still be the same type of, almost like the same type of team. Not saying they're not as good with the big names, but just to be the same type of team. There's a lot of talk about Diggs. There's a lot of talk about Diggs and some of the plays that had run against him and what type of coverage they was in. I'm gonna speak about among that. I mean, I don't think it's totally Diggs' fault, but we're gonna talk about what's the real about that, and maybe not what's the real about the what coverage they was in, about what he should have been playing or whatever. We're gonna touch bases on that. We're gonna talk about some of the real stuff that can kind of kill some of these rumors that's being trying to start it. And then we're going to talk about the overall look of this team going into these last two games and how important these last two games are. And I've been saying that before we even played the Chargers, how important these games are for Schottenheimer. Um, for what he's trying to do and his words that he's getting across the board. This is very important for him to get this, and it is very important with this that he allows his team to understand where they're at, and he allows his fan base to understand where they're at, um, and stop playing the role of trying to be the hype thing about keeping the fan base engaged and keeping the fan base happy and all. You right now you're worried about the true blue fans because that's why you're gonna build this football team back up. And I know some people might not look at it in that way, but the way you're gonna build this football team back up is you're gonna build this football team back up with your true blue fans. That's how this fan this how this is gonna be rebuilt. It's only gonna be rebuilt with your true blue fans. That's how it's going to be built. That's how it's going to come back. That's how we're going to build this football program and this team back to a championship level. It's not going to be built back with other people in this building that's looking to. It's not going to be built back with people in this building. Um, uh, It's not going to be built back. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get some check my mic out. It's not going to be built back with these novice fans, with these what we call sometimes fake fans. It's not going to be built back with that. It's going to be built back with the fans that know the Cowboys, that love the Cowboys, that are going to stick it through thick and thin with the Cowboys. It's going to be built back with the fans that know that this is a grind to get back right. It's going to be built back with a fan base that's not just the fan base that want to be excited and want to have the top paid players that jump off the boat, that start killing their players and trying to saying that this guy's horrible, or the fans that start pointing fingers right at one person or one thing. It's going to be the true football fans that's going to build this thing back up, and that's the fan base that Schottenheimer and this organization needs to try to cater to. I think a lot of the years, for a lot of these years, that our ownership and our fan base and our ownership and maybe our coaching staff have been trying to cater to the novice fan, and I hate to say that because I don't want to just get rid of some of our fan base or some of your fan base get upset with me is, but the fan base that really knows football and knows it's not got to be flashy. It doesn't have to be exciting. It just have to be consistent and winning. And those are the people that we need to start to catering to and start talking to when Jerry does his interviews, when Schottenheimer does the interviews. We need for these last two games for them to be honest about when we have bad play from some people that just to point it out and put people on Front Street about bad play. We need them to be honest about some of the things that we are going through as a unit, and stop trying to be promote this positive atmosphere, and not saying that we don't want to promote a positive atmosphere saying there's is no hope, but I want them to start to talk in the ways of what it really is. We are a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in 2 years. We are 500 team. We was under 500 last year, and we're trying to get back to 500 this year. And is we are what our record said we are. And is that a bad thing? And when you realize who you are, that's when you can start doing the things to change what you do and to get back to where you were before. But you cannot be living in this fantasy world about thinking that we are much better, or we are one play away, or if just one thing that happened and we change one thing, or we get a couple of free agents, or we go out there and buy 4 or 5 guys, that we're going to change who we are, and we're going to become a championship team like we're a championship team right now. I hear people saying about, well, let's don't play, let's sit people out till we get better draft. Those type things build the same thing that we are in now. They build a sense of not being responsible and doing your job and being focused to get out of the hole. this team should want to go and say that we want to give up players to be under 500. You got too much invested in and say, hey, that we want to be, and then you're playing your rivals in these last two games. And this is the type of stuff that you gotta get folks. Now I know people look at me and say, well, coach, well, people don't think that way. But listen, what you do in these times, the football guards look on you crazy. And next thing you know, when you try to win next year, the same thing happens. You start sitting guys when they're healthy, and then when you really need them next year, they get hurt. So it's time for them to try to, this is very important for Schottenheimer and this part of this year to get something going good and to finish this game. No, we don't want to finish on a 5-game losing streak. I don't think this team is too talented to have a 5-game losing streak. And Tyler Smith made some very, he's certainly a leader of this team, but he has some very interesting comments that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about his interesting comments about the position that he's playing, the tackle position. We're going to talk about, I'm going to give you my opinion on that tackle position and about how dominant he is as a guard and how important the guard and center position is as well. And as we're going to talk about also what he said about this football team and moments that he feel like we missing. And it goes back to what I was saying all along about this football team. So let's start off with Tyler Smith and the Tyler Smith. As you know, going into this last game, um, they moved Tyler Smith to left tackle. Now, it's always people been talking about that, him being left tackle. And his first year he played left tackle. He played okay, but it wasn't a stellar season. Now I get people to talk like when he played that rookie year, like he had a stellar season at left tackle. It was not a stellar season at left tackle. It was a good season, but not a stellar season. And basically, that season was a little bit better than the two guys that you're having that you're playing now. And we're going to talk about Tyler Smith and how all this fits. And maybe and maybe just my opinion. But I want y'all to follow me on this. They moved him to left tackle. And in his comments that he said, I'm gonna see if I can I don't know if I can pull that up or not. But anyway, let's go. I don't know if I can pull it up. I don't want to lose this live screen, but I'm gonna just go for what I meant on the count. They asked him about him playing left tackle, and he said in his comments, he said, "Yes, they got me a left tackle because some injuries, and we got some players going through some stuff." And they kept trying to push him to talk about will that be a permanent move. But I don't think nobody's listened to what he said. He said because injuries and somebody's going through some stuff. So we don't know what the other guys going through, the number 71 is going through, the rookie guys going through. Um, but we do know that Tyler Guyton is injured. And then put Tyler Guyton on IR. The high ankle sprain for big guys, it don't, it's just not just gonna come back anyway like that. But let's look at this, man. You think that the Cowboys are just gonna give up on two left tackles who are basically in their first year playing full time? Because they did that, they would have gave up on Tyler Smith. Because see, I think everybody don't realize Tyler Smith's first year at left tackle was not stellar. It was good, but it wasn't stellar. The two tackles that they got now that played left tackle the majority of the year, this is their first year. Guyton was hurt all of last year. The other guy was on they had him on red shirt. What are we what and why is out and that and this is why I get upset with our media. Why are we trying to push a controversy with two guys? And I think Lou Takes does a great job, and I speak of that because he does a great job of doing the a video every week of the actual play of the guys. Now these guys, listen, I'm not saying these guys played perfect, but they didn't play so horrible that you can say, well, their play is killing the offense. I just don't understand when you have these guys we're probably gonna get better as the years go on. Why are we talking about, this? If Tyler Smith was to ask you, he didn't have his greatest year at guard this year that he had the year before. So all along, all over our offensive line, all of them had some hiccups, but not bad hiccups. But none of them are like they so stellar that it was great. But all of them progressing. Because think about it. You got two tackles that them said the one and Guyton that are really in their first year of playing full time. You got Tyler Booker, his first year, he's a rookie. You got BB in his first year of extended time at center all year. People, the offensive line is young, and I think for a first year with under the coach, I think they did a great job. But I just think a lot of the pressure. Yeah, Tyler Booker had a high ankle sprain, and it took him what 4 weeks for him to come back. And it's probably easier for Tyler Booker to come back inside. It's kind of harder based off which ankle sprain you had when you're talking about playing the tackle position. Because you're more into what we got a dancing bear on an island out there where it's a lot, but it's easier to come back from that tackle position, that guard position that's inside when you're anchoring inside where you don't have people going around the corner on you. And I don't think people think about that in that matter. And they rather, and then I think the other tackle, he had a problem because he's on the injured list, was on the injured list for his shoulder. His shoulder might not be totally bad, but it might have been to the point where they didn't feel comfortable about putting him out there with a bad shoulder, protecting that. You don't have another left tackle to put out there. So what you did is say, well, Bass is playing good. We'll play him inside and we'll put Tyler Smith out there and we'll say we'll do it for the next two games because we don't know if the shoulder gonna be really good with the other guy, and we know Tyler Guyton. We already think about putting Tyler Guyton on IR. What are we doing, man? Why are we trying to start a rumor? And Tyler Smith tell you, he said, man, if they talk to me about it, yeah, we'll talk about it if they talk to me about it. But basically, I'm there because of injuries, and we got some other stuff going on with somebody. Uh, Basically, this is how we got to go about to get through the game. That's all this is. If this was any other football team, we wouldn't be jumping on this like this was the story of Mount of trying to push a controversy. But that's all this is. And this is the thing that I'm saying about the Cowboys that really hurts me as a fan. We try to push controversy. And that is not a winning formula to become a winning championship team again. It's called messy. And messiness is not going to win you a championship. It may get you some ratings. It may get some of the the media there in Dallas some views and some clicks. But it's not going to get us nowhere because the only thing it's do is going to build a culture of not talking about what's the real stuff and trying to talk about stuff that's fake and make believe. And by doing that, we're going to end up having a team that always getting over or always uh not being involved in what they really need to be involved with. And that's what and that's the thing that gets me with this team. We the messiness sometimes is really killing me. And this story about Tyler, I think it's just being messy. Because I don't see Tyler, I don't see them giving up on two tackles that had some good games. And yes, they done had some bad games. And then had some good games. And then had some struggles. But those are the struggles that guys go through in their first years. And I don't know why we looking for guys to be all pros, Hall of Famers as they come out. And then we got this thing about Terrence Steele. This thing. And Terrence Steele is go through the same stuff that Dak Prescott go through. Now, some people gonna say, "Well, no, now how you finish Terrence Steele like it goes through the same thing like Dak Prescott." Tackles and right tackles in this league do the exact same thing Terrence Steele do every day. It gets some get beat, some give up sacks, some of them have some certain things they miss blocks. But you can watch film on Terrence Steele and you may see about 4 or 5 hiccups. They man, oh man, he got beat or he made a habit. But the majority of the snaps, he doing his job. And that's in just about any other player, unless you're looking to be a guy to be an all pro, a Hall of Famer, or a player that's probably the best lineman in the history of linemen that don't get beat. But the reason Terrence Steele get all this flack about anything that he does wrong is because of the same stuff that always was. People didn't want him to have the job because he was an undrafted free agent. Because people was wrong about him coming out of college. They saw him when he was his first year. They have that picture of Terrence Steele in their head, and they will not let it go. Regardless of how many great plays he make, how many great blocks he make, we just focus on the few hiccups and we'll say, oh man, he needs to go. Or we'll look at some crazy stat like PFF that I feel that bias the judges players based off what the feeling of the people are. And we look at that and we start talking about Terrence Steele. So I tell you this: if you want to get rid of Terrence Steele, there's 30 other two teams will jump on Terrence Steele in a heartbeat. And he's a young guy, and his contract is not bad. He might be 14 million, but he still got another kicker down the road he can get. And I think they got one more kicker that they may do with him this year. And then they may start thinking about it because then he'll be coming up at the end of his contract. I think the kicker, he got one more kicker. And then after they do this kicker here, then they can start talking about maybe he at the end. But most of the time, man, this is not a bad, I don't know what we're talking about here. But I don't think it's gonna be this year. And the majority of their run plays, they ran behind Tyler Booker. I mean, Terrence Steele and Tyler Booker. Come on, man. I just don't why we just create controversy. Tell me where the upgrade is. We could watch. Listen. I hear what you're saying, but there's a guy, and I hate to say that. I hate people to. Lou Taste does this every week, and we go over Terrence Steele film every week. It may be one or two plays out of a plays that he has the hiccup, and we like, but that's it. Every line dominant in the run game. And what we're talking about is pressures. And I guarantee you, if you went at and looked at the film and said, looked at the film and say what they consider pressure, you'll be like, is that a pressure? Yeah, if Dak getting the ball away and the guy comes off and he's within a yard or so, they consider that a pressure. I just don't. Listen, listen. There's been players that left this team and showed dominance. I'm gonna tell you this. There's two guys that we let go, and I said because of the fan base with their this this want to jump on somebody, and we let them go. One, if DeMarcus Lawrence was on this football team, we'll be a better football team because he didn't do but make plays. But our fan base killed him because talking about he don't have no sack numbers, but pressure and making plays and making tackles, DeMarcus Lawrence was dominant. But we say no, he didn't do that. Tony Pollard. Everybody say, oh, Tony Pollard there. Solid player that always produce big plays. Play around with Terrence Steele you want to. The only upgrade you're gonna get is a guy that's gonna be a all pro, probably a Hall of Famer. And if that's what you're trying to get to, then you're gonna be searching. Because you ain't gonna get no rookie that's gonna come in and play better than Terrence Steele. I just don't understand. But we ran off because of a couple of highlighted plays. I think sometimes we over exaggerate that our players are not as good because of our record. And let me explain that. And that's another thing. That's another thing we do. You cannot judge all your players based off the record of the team. Let me say that again. We have a tendency to judge every player based off the record of the team. So if the team is 6-8, we say the quarterback is horrible. If the team's is 6-8, we say the offensive line needs to be everybody need replaced. All the defensive line need to be replaced. We need to go and get all these free agents. If the team was 10-4 and Terrence Steele was playing on the same team, same thing, people be like, oh man, Terrence is a great pickup. Don't need moving. And you see what I'm saying? If you do it that way, if you judge a player, his production based off the team success, then what you're saying is that one player is the reason why the team had success. And that's never the truth. Not in the greatest team sport. You have to look at it individually. But when all the parts play well together, then you have a successful team. That's why I was saying to people, I said at the beginning of this year, you need collectively everybody to have career years. And what you mean by career years, Coach Marv? No, I don't mean everybody needs to be all pros. I mean, everybody needs to play the best that they have ever played in a season. And the team that has more players doing that together, the sum of the parts, usually play wise, they have a chance to win. But then there's some other intangibles that got to come in. And we don't, and Tyler Smith talked about the unintangibles. So, like I was saying about this, Tyler Smith said the reason why he was playing left tackle, he told us, and we act like we didn't hear it because we want to start controversy. He said injuries, and we got another guy going through something. So there is no other left tackle. He had to play left tackle. They only have backup guards yet left. So he bring a guard in and play him in left tackle. Fine. So that's why that happened. And I think, and they put Guyton on. And I would, if Guyton was coming back and he's still playing left tackle, then I would say, what? Why y'all doing this? But they already put Guyton on IR. So they already told you Guyton was not going to come back. They felt to say, okay, it's a little bit more probably to that ankle than what it is, and they probably put him on. He might have to do some cleanup. He might have some surgery to do some cleanup on that. And I don't think the shoulder is good with the other guy. So let's see how it works. But Tyler Guyton said some other stuff too. He talked about we not our team not performing in those moments, that those small moments that make championship moments. And I don't think people hear that because we're so busy trying to start worry about controversy. But that is very important what he said about not performing in those championship moments. What he's really saying is, and when we look at this last game and these last three games, is the concentration level of a championship team is not there. Now, if you want to say that's on Shoddy, yeah, you could. But I want to say that's on the culture that we have already in place, that habit is not been broken from before. We hadn't broken we hadn't broken the cultural thing that binds us for not making the big moments. And there's a guy on here that's a Steeler fan that came in. And I'm not gonna give a Steeler fan though, because I don't really like the Steelers, but I'm gonna give the Steeler fan one credit. Is that one, they always are in games because they do little things. Now they might blow up because of this and that, but they have a certain way that they play culturally. So that is what makes them a team that keeps on going. You know, so that's why I try to say when we have to have that cultural build. And what Tyler Smith was trying to say is that we got to be focused on the little things, because the little things are the things that's hurting us more than getting talent. Those winning moments when we're inside the 5 yard line and we get all sides. When we third down, we on the drive and we get we line up all sides. We get a penalty. When we get a penalty, when we give up big plays on defense in the big moments, when we don't close out on third downs, when our third downs, we don't do the little things of getting first downs. When first down, we're not executing on first down plays to get positive yards and stay in front of the sticks. Those are what Tyler Smith is talking about, winning moments that we lose too many on them. And that is a killer to this football team. And I know it's hard for everybody to see, but I see that in this team. Those winning moments is that where we fail on. And for Tyler Smith to say that, that tells me that this is being talked about in this locker room. But it's not being done across the board. And this team just need to grow up. This team needs to grow up, stay out the media. Don't worry about all the media. Don't worry about all the flash and all that the dancing and all that stuff, and worry about doing things over and over and over again. The other thing I want to talk about, and I appreciate Tyler Smith doing that. The other thing I want to talk about is that I know Boss had a show about Sala being a better coordinator, and this was another indictment on Eberflus. And I'm let me tell you something. I've been in coaching, and I understand sometimes when you trying to coach something and you don't, it's not a buy-in, how hard it is to coach. If I got anything that I'm concerned with Eberflus, and one of the things is because I always said this, and I said this about any other coach. If you tell me what your philosophy is at the beginning of the season, I don't want you to tell me about what all you want. Don't go into this all about what you want. I'm just saying when you are asked the questions early on in the interview process, when somebody asks you questions early on in the interview process, like they were asking Matt Eberflus, right? Early on interviews when they was interviewing Matt Eberflus, he talked about the physicality of his defense, and he talked about the tackling of our defense is known by, and I keep going back there about our defensive backs. And you talked about, people said you had a bend to don't break defense, and every defense is a bend and don't break. All of them. It's none of them that you're going to try to. It's this league is too good to say we're going to try to shut you down to just suffocate you. We don't have that defense type personnel, and there's very few that there's none of the team in the league got that personnel. But when you have that type of being a don't break, if you want to classify as that, and you talked about your tackling from your secondary, when I don't see those things from day one, and what I mean about the being a don't break, you playing being don't break, and you still giving up big plays. We have given up more big plays this year than probably any NFL team in history. And if you're talking about plays over 25 yards, 30 yards, we give them up rapidly 3 to 4 a game, if not more. And if I don't see those two qualities, tackling on the outside and not giving up big plays, then you fail as a coordinator. And what I mean, because you failed as a coordinator, what I mean by that, what I mean when I say you failed as a coordinator, your basic philosophy of what you build your defense on, your basic philosophy that you build your defense on, you failing at that. And if you fail at that, then you failed as a coordinator. Because you have no principal values. And everything else is gonna fall apart. because you have no core values. You failed at your core values. And if you can't get your core values over to your defense, then they'll tone you out. And you failed. And not only you failed, your assistant coaches have failed. And they need to be held accountable too. Because where you failed at is when you allow Elam, and I went to the Green Bay game, and I don't know how many weeks that was ago. And I came back. If you go back in my watch list, go back in my watch party list when I talked and I did a video right after the Green Bay game. I was in Dallas and I did a video sitting outside the hotel I was in late night, and I did a video, and I talked about that we need to really look at our secondary tackling because Green Bay ran screenplay after screenplay, and I watched it in person how we wasn't physical, and then I posted on a video against Chicago a play that happened where we just looked like we weren't trying to tackle, and over again. That mentality of not being physical on the back end, I don't care what shot and Tam talking about. Where we try to play physical, he was impressed by the way we played physical. Listen, when you watch this last game, if you impressed by how they played physical in this game, and he said that was a improvement, this has already been talked about. Because when he came out of halftime, and this is why I get on Shotty now, he tell you that he talked about how they played physical at the end of the game. But when he came out of halftime, when they had an interview with him on the sideline, the first thing he said that we got to be able to stay on the field offensively, and we got to tackle better. So the first half, you weren't talking about how physical you were playing. And then at the end of the game, you tell us about how physical we played. No, we wasn't. I watched it. We are hesitant and we don't attack like monsters. And we let people bring the play to us, and that's why it looked like we get knocked out. I know somebody said I saw somebody put a post out there on Twitter. They were talking about Revel, you know, when they ran that sweep out to Revel's side, and number 41, like he was upset. The rookie guy, he got upset because he dived inside and they cracked down on him and looked like he turned around and said that, hey, they need to come up. Right. Revel got attacked because Revel, his eyes waiting to make his step. And now, why did Revel did that? Because I said this about Revel, and Revel. I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna tell you about Revel. I don't fault Revel on that because Revel, man, listen, man, Revel ain't played. He just in the middle of training camp by now. What we expect, and I'll talk about Rebel when I talk about Diggs when we talk about Diggs, because Rebel gonna be in the same boat when I talk about Diggs. But if you watch the play, when the crackback came down, he should have came up hard right then for run support because he knows then, even though that guy's coming out, if he gets upfield right now, he's gonna make it turn back in. Crackback goes down, he got to come up hard. Outside shoulder in and make that guy kick him out so that ball has to turn up. He waited, he paused, the guard got outside of him, and now he's blocked. Listen, man, it don't take but a little hesitation in football of not being aggressive, and you get swept up in the wave. I don't expect him to knock out a offensive lineman. No, I ain't talking about being physical in that manner. I'm talking about being aggressive because if he's aggressive and coming up, he's going to alleviate that offensive tackle's ability to block him, just come around and squaring up on him. That guy would have had to get him from the side. And sometimes he might have hit him in the back. but he would had to get him from the side, and what it would have done, it would have turned the play up immediately back in to the pursuit. Now, where was the pursuit? You seen the pitch, safety. Instead of coming up wide open, safety, watch out, safety. And that's Marquise Bell this time. Watch it. Watch how he attentively slows down and starts to retreat instead of coming forward. And that's always with us. We're allowing people to bring the fight to us, and that's why teams are doing what they're doing. Because there's a very little level of intensity on our back end. So that's where we at. So that's where we at with Rebel. And what that's not where we at with Rebel. That's where we at when we watch that play. And I understand that was a sweep, but again, just how we played it and how we aggressed. Because I watched other teams, and that's gonna get we finna move in to what Boss was saying about Sulla and what we said about uh Eberflus, and we want to talk about Nolan, which you're true. But let's think about it. One, this defense does not play enough physical enough for me. It's a finesse defense, and you can't win in a finesse defense because if teams start to find out that you finesse, they're gonna get more and more confident to do anything they want on you. Why is Sala a better defensive coordinator than Matt Eberflus? When I believe in certain cases Matt Eberflus got more talent, at least on the front end, or maybe not as men's talent, but on the front end. When you talk about the ones that were Sala and lost all the injuries and lost. Is because this is why they play better in San Francisco with all the injuries. Because they have formulated a style of play that cannot be determined by their players. Yes, they are much better with Bosa and their linebacker and their safety. They're much better with those people, but they have a style of play that's going to be able to transcend to play well and stay in games, and that's an intense physical play, and they do not back down for those moral values. They don't back down from those moral values. They don't care if it's the first string or the second string because they feel if you got 54-man roster, everybody that made this team can play. And they don't back down for the level of intensity that's supposed to be played in every position. That's why. And this is not just solid. This is you see this with the three different defensive coordinators than I had in the last 3-4 years. It doesn't change because Shanahan has a culture of how he wants his defense to play, and it is embedded in their culture as a football team. It's embedded. And what Eberflus tried to put in here was soft. What Nolan put in here was soft. Quinn tried to come in here and put a physical, and it was that until we got to be soft again. Now some people say Rex Ryan would have been a better hire. Know why Rex Ryan would have been a better hire? And I ain't gonna say Rex Ryan, and it's not even about scheme. Scheme ain't the one that it's about how we play, how we play. Let me tell you something. If you let Elam go out there and we watch film on Elam from day one, turning down tackles, and I'm gonna get on Diggs too. Diggs diving at ankles. Yeah, in the first couple of games too. Yeah, not you know your safeties. Donald started coming up a little bit, but Hooker ain't never filled the lane. Number 27, he don't tackle either. Carson ain't never been no tackler either. When you allow that to happen and you allow Elam to go out there for 4 or 5 games and you allow Clark to go out there for 4 or 5 games, you already set a tone in your back end and that's how you play. And you can't change that. Because if you accept it in any player that's getting full-time play, you can't expect it from the rest of your guys. I don't know if y'all understand what I'm saying to you. If there's a core value that you carry with your defense, I don't care how good it is, but there's some core values that you carry with your defense. If you let guys that go out there that don't live up to the core values of your defense, how you expect the rest of them to do that? And this is what Eagle Flu fails with me. If I tell you in a meeting, if I tell the press in a meeting, standing on the podium, that the cornerback tackling is going to be the judge of how well we tackle, and then I go through week 2, 3, 4, and our cornerback tackling is horrendous, and I still allow them to run out there, what I'm saying to the rest of my back end, if if that's a core value of mine, I'm gonna go to the defensive back coach and say, hey, listen, I don't care if we blow coverages or whatever, this and that. This is what we need. This is core values. Stop big plays and let's be firm on tackling and run support. If you can't do that for me as a coach to my position coach, if you can't get my core values out of my players, then you got to go as a position coach. I can understand if you don't have the talent to do all the extra stuff, but you fail. And Salas does well because it's embedded in that culture to play good defense and to play in a certain way, an intense way. I talked about the San Francisco team uh, maybe about 5 weeks ago and how they won a game. And in the game, when their safeties came up and stuffed the run play, when they came up the field and they blew up a run play, I say, hey, I wish we had safeties to play like that. I wish we had safeties that played back end, that played physical like the Fort, like the Philadelphia Eagles. They might give us some plays, But when it's time to come up the field, go watch them. And I'm not patting them on the back, but go watch their teams. When they see flow, their safeties are coming downhill. They're not going sideways or going backwards. They're attacking. When you're trying to go out there and block them, they're already there. Their corners coming up to force it. They're forcing the play, and they're playing physical. They're swarming around the ball. We don't do that. We got a team that looks like they want the next guy to make the tackle. And that's how it looks. I looked at the quarterback last week. The quarterback scrambled up the middle, right? The quarterback for the Chargers scrambled up the middle. He ran up the middle, and they were, even though they're playing man to man, he ran for 15 yards, and there was not even looked like nobody was even in a pursuit of coming close to him. That showed the rally, man. And if any team feel that you're not physical on defense, listen. If you're not physical on defense, it gives the offense all the confidence in the world to do whatever they want against you. Physicality on defense is a must. And most of your defenses there's not a defense that's been bad in this NFL that they say that defense was physical. The first thing it is that they're not physical. And I'll say it again. Change that part and let's see how it works. But it's no need to worry with Eberflus because that's not your core value, Eberflus. Your core value is a finesse defense. And that's not being that's not being that don't break. Being that don't break means saying we're gonna be physical enough on you that we're not gonna allow you we're gonna play soft the shell so you don't get big plays, and we're physical enough that we're gonna make you turn the ball over or we're gonna stuff you because we're gonna pound you. That's a bend and don't break. If you're gonna play bend and don't break, you got to be physical. Why? Because if you're gonna let guys catch the ball underneath, you got to rally and what? Punish. But take this out. You play a bend and don't break, and you don't rally and punish. You don't. You soft on the back end. You soft physically. So what you doing? They're still getting big plays. Second thing, we got plays going down the field now. Get to the Diggs point. There's a lot of words going on around by Diggs about was he in cover two when the guy caught the ball, this and that. All right, okay. Let me ask you this question, people. What y'all expect from Diggs, man? Diggs been hurt. He been bound and stuff. He been sitting out for 6, almost 7 weeks. We don't know how hurt he was. And I do believe, I know he is dealing with some stuff with that knee. But he just got back. So if he did have some hiccups, well, so what the hell? What y'all expect? I didn't expect him to come out there and be all pro right off the bat. Now, what I was concerned about on that play, and I understand what people talking about the cover too. Some pointed out Diggs didn't get wide enough to help the safety. 2, it goes right back to what I said again. Diggs know how to play zone. People talking about he don't play zone. He plays zone in Alabama. Alabama plays zone. Yeah, they play man, but they play a lot of zone too. He know how to play zone. This ain't the first time he done played zone. But this goes back to what Tyler Smith was saying. Paying attention to detail. This goes back to what I said 5 to 6 weeks ago when I started talking about our safety play. Some people want to talk about Donald playing better. In space, Donald can't tackle. He makes some plays pressing on the line of scrimmage, but he ain't. Donald's done for me. I love him, but I need somebody faster. They can cover better, but I need some more speed, more athleticism. He don't have that no more. But let me say this. Diggs, I didn't look for him to come out and do well. But what I do look for him to come out, and the same thing I said about the safety play, we got two veteran safeties that has been playing 6, 7, 8 years and 3 or 4 years together. There should never be no tafu of coverage problems in our secondary. Because who's supposed to run that and make sure that everybody on the same page and getting their job done with some two guys back there on the back end because they're the veterans. But over and over again, I see confusion with veterans out there. And I said this before. If you're a veteran and you ain't fast, and you're a veteran but you ain't the physical guy, well, hell, if you ain't got the cerebral part, then what do I got you back there for? Two, Diggs know he playing with safeties that can't run. And he don't have the flat in that. Look at the play. Second thing, Diggs got to have better. And this, I'm not telling about Diggs and saying Diggs was wrong here, but it goes back to what I've been saying all along in our secondary. And this got to be what they're coaching. Our our secondary football IQ is probably the lowest in the NFL. You got to be able to see that guy was running a nine. You got to be able to know when you dropping back that your safety can't get all the way to that corner over there. And you can't stutter to try to break down. Look what he does. He's backpedaling and he stutters like he's trying to catch the underneath route. Look at the film. There's no underneath route. So what are you stuttering for? What are you breaking down for? There was nothing threatening you underneath. The guy that was coming out in the flat, the linebacker was going out there because the linebacker really had the flats out there. You got to know your safety can't get that far over top. You got to have football IQ to know that if I'm playing cover two, I got to funnel that guy inside. He can't get to that pylon over there. At this shorter distance, come on. See, this is what I'm saying. Our football IQ, and this goes to our secondary coach, it's horrible. And we see this over and over again. We see guys guarding air where they can be floating and tagging a man. They'll stand out there guard air with no threat instead of flow to where threats at. It helps it. It's mind blowing. And every time we get a touch, it's like we don't know. It's just like we are I hate to say it, a dumb football team on the back end. And then when you got dumb, when you playing dumb and you're not playing physical, man, you every time we get down to the red zone, what I told you, I said this in my last video. Go back in the last 5 or 6 games. Soon as the team get within the 20-yard line, what's the first play that they run? A sweep. Every team we played against. Watch what I tell you what happened this week. Watch tomorrow. If the Redskins get within the 20-yard line, the red zone, the first play they're going to run some outside. Why? Because they know that it's been successful. Because your safety's not going to feel the lane, and the cornerbacks are not going to fight upfield on the blocks. They're going to let the guy block, and they're going to retreat. And the guy can try to set the edge, but you ain't got nobody setting the second edge. There's a one edge, and if you try to loop around, there's another edge. And he needs to be coming up, but they ain't going to do that. And it's on film. Nobody want to look at that. And Salah has a way of going about and doing with that. And it's a mentality thing of toughness. And there's core values in their defense that is always there. And that's what it involves. When you have core values in your defense, there's certain things that we're not going to tolerate. We're going to play physical. We're going to hit people. We're going to out-hit people. And we're going to come up and hit. We don't know what our scheme is. I don't give a damn what scheme I run, but those things we're going to do. And I don't see that in this defense, and that's why Matt Eberflus got to go. Because if you can't give me no core values, if your core values is being soft, then I can do without you. I'm gonna put in the chat, y'all. If anybody wants to support the channel, that the super chats are working, as well as um, my Cash App. If you want to please support the channel. But it and that's why, and I was so happy that Boss brought that show up about Robert Salas, because that's that I put that up there, man. I'm a it's pinned to the top, man. If you really want to support the channel, that's my Cash App. If you want to support the channel, um, that'll be great if you want to donate anything to the channel. And it would greatly be appreciated, man, because we're gonna do some bigger things that's coming this first of the year. But that was one of the reasons why I thought that that was a very good move by um for I thought that was a very, very good move by Boss, is talking about how Robert Salas has gotten more out of his defense than we have gotten out of ours. And I think we have the defensive people here. But we do, like Chief Move said, we need a whole new safety room. And I think, listen, and I always say this: defense. Okay, if you're building a team, you build a defense with draft picks. If I'm going to this draft, I'm drafting 90% defense on this. I may draft one offensive player, maybe one, but they won't be in the first. They won't be in the first four round. Well, first, not the first two first round picks, and the not the not the fourth round pick. It may be late on in the draft, because you can find people later on in the draft to help your offense. Your offense is veterans. You have a veteran offense But what you do with your defense is you keep your defense young and youthful. Veteran offenses, young youthful defense. Look at around the league. Veteran offenses, young youthful defenses. And guys on your offense usually stay in there for a long period of time. You may be young now, but you keep those offensive linemen, those skill players. Once you get some good ones, you keep them and you keep it going on. And the better your defense is, the less your offense have to be is great. And you'll find that you'll win more games and you'll save more money that way because your defense is interchange out. You always gonna be drafting guys to keep interchanging that defense out. And those veterans on the offense, you lock them in for long term, and that's how you get better. And we need to go back. And I think that when we had our best defenses when Quinn first got here, we drafted a whole host of players on defense, but we brought them in, and for that first year, Quinn changed the philosophy of how we play, and we had a different way about playing, and that helped out a lot. But I think when we bring this new defensive coordinator in, that's where we need to go. But let me explain something, and I'm gonna get to I didn't get on. I left Revel out when I was talking about Diggs, about how Diggs, w- if he has some hiccups, he's got to get back in the rhythm. Why we expecting him to be all world right off the bat? And the same thing by Revel, man. We asking a lot for Revel. We asking a lot for some of these undrafted free agents because they're not top of the line. They're going through their growing pains. But I hate to see guys go through growing pains and being soft, and that's sometimes I feel in that. But let's talk about the fan base, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm about to get out of here because I'm a little bit late. We're gonna get there's some Christmas Eve stuff I want to try to get to. This is what our fan base is gonna do. Let me say this, and everybody who's still in the chat, I want y'all to listen to me, and I want y'all to tell me, say, Coach, and when y'all see this, I want when I go on one of these lives, I want y'all to say, Coach, we see this. Well, our fan base is gonna be so fired up about the new defense coordinator and all that about defense this and defense that, defense this, and talking about getting rid of defense coordinator until the season over with. And as soon as the season over with, soon as somebody mention that we need to sign Pickens, or as soon as somebody say we need to get another offensive lineman or another wide receiver, guess what? All the talk about defense is gonna be gone, and then they're gonna go straight to talk about getting. As soon as somebody say this wide receiver is in the draft and we ain't got to sign Pickens, we can get this guy. We're gonna leave the defense alone, and we're gonna try to pick up guys from the scrap heap for the defense, or we're gonna draft guys, or we're gonna try to get some veteran guys for defense or do something. But we're not gonna focus on defense no more. Watch what I tell you. And I'll say this again. And y'all might say, well, coach, that's history. What Cowboys have never in the Emmitt Smith days, in the Roger Staubach, the Tony Dorsett days, the Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin days, they have never played for an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl without a top 8 defense in the league and without a top 3 running attack in the NFL. So if we think we're gonna do it now, we'll be doing something we haven't done in the 60, almost 70-year history of the Cowboys. So I ask you this: do you want to do something that we hadn't done in 70 years, or you want to do something that we have done probably in the 60 years we've been around, probably 20 some of those years we did a certain way? And that blueprint is having a top 8 defense and a top 3 rushing attack in the league. And those are the only times that, and we don't have them before. We may not play for the championship game, but every time we have played an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl, win or lose, we have had those stats. So if you want to get back to the NFC championship game, where you ain't been in 30 years, if you want to get back to a Super Bowl that you ain't been in 35, 30 some years, Do that blueprint. Get you a top notch defense that plays top notch. Run the ball committedly. Be committed to run the ball. I ain't say run it forever, but be committed to run the ball. Your quarterback will be better, and you will have a wonderful chance to be playing in a championship game. Not saying that that will happen, but one, you said you will be able to get rid of one of the things that was a criteria of you getting there. But I thank y'all for coming, man. I thank you for all the people who's come in and all the people, the likes and the likes I've gotten here. I didn't even like my own show. Thank you, man. Thank you for saying Merry Christmas Eve, man. I wish all of you. I don't know if I'm gonna be on the live show tomorrow. The game being at 1 o'clock interferes right with my Christmas dinner with my family, and I'm going to spend Christmas dinner with my family. I'm going to do that with my family. We're going to have a good time because you know Christmas is a not promised to have with our families. So I'm going to do that Christmas dinner with my family. So I probably won't be on the live, but I will be watching it from a view while we eating our Christmas dinner and sitting around and fat mouthing and talking and having a good time. They'll be watching because everybody be on my case about the Cowboys case. I pray that we play a very good football game. I may not have been talking about it, but hey, we need to come out and win these next two games. I never want to lose to Washington. Never want to lose to Washington. I never want to lose to the Giants. We need to keep those teams under our feet. And this is something, regardless of how good they are, they're still our rivals. We need to go out and play well in Washington tomorrow and come out with a victory tomorrow. We need to get out of this losing streak and we need to get our minds on our work. Tyler Smith was correct. Can we get our minds on our work? Can we focus in to win two games? But first, we got to win this game. And we got to play a physical brand of football and go out here and play very well. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. I'm going to talk to you before the new year comes in, but I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Y'all have been a Christmas present to me. Just for y'all support and y'all being on the show and liking and sharing the comment to other platforms. That has been a blessing to me. And I never thought that I'd be 200 away from having 1,000 viewers. I mean 1,000 followers, members. So please, if you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe. If you hadn't, you got groups out there that need to subscribe. Please send my stuff to those other groups. I hope to be collabing with some other people that's cowboy like minded because we need to start talking about some real football issues. Go out and support the guys that support me, that got me started. Boss Cowboy Sports, Amp Sports, Lou Takes, Henny, Landlord, all those people that supported me to get me going, man. Keep on supporting them and keep giving them your views and your time because we always in Law Nation. Hadn't talked to him in a while, but go out and support him. I know a lot of y'all that already support him. That you say, well, I'm telling the people to support and Big Time Show as well. A lot of people saying, well, how you tell me they got way more subscribers than you, but these guys, I look up to these guys because they the one that got me started in this whole thing. We're gonna keep on pushing, but remember, man, let's don't let these let's not be rumors. Let's try to start rumors. Let's look at things in a clear view. But let's look at the football side of this thing and let's see if we can try so get a winning mentality here and not an excuse building mentality. All right, that's right. And the person say until we have a winners mentality type of culture, we'll never win another chip. And he's right. And it's a winning mentality type of culture. And where I get that from is if you need a winning type of mentality culture, just look at the winning teams, see what they do, and copy that. So we will be doing some playoff videos. I said in this last live stream, I will be doing some live watch parties when we talk about playoff games because we're gonna look at some of these playoff games, and I hope we bring you in and put it out there, and y'all come in and watch it with me as we watch these playoff games. And what we're going to do is we're going to find out and see how those winning teams play. We're going to watch it together, and we're going to have an analysis and see how these winning teams play and say what got them to this place where they're playing in these big games. And let's see if we can copy that type of blueprint or promote that type of blueprint with our football team so we can be there next year. But until next time, Merry Christmas to everybody. And if I don't talk to you for the new year, Happy New Year. But have a wonderful Christmas with your family and always stay strong, man. And remember, no nothing. Cowboys, remember, Cowboy players and coaches, get your mind on your work. And as I always want to say, remember this: nothing and nobody can stop God's will. Nothing or nobody can stop God's will. Love y'all. Peace. Salute.